In our last conversation, we talked about something that a lot of people recognize in themselves: the pattern of preparing endlessly without ever actually starting, researching, planning, organizing, doing everything except starting. And one of the things we touched on was how that preparation can feel productive, even when it isn't moving you anywhere. Today's topic is kind of similar to that one because it shares the same root. It's about what happens when you don't just have one thing you're preparing for, you have five, or 10, or even more. You have a list of things you want to learn, things you want to build, things you want to get good at, and the list doesn't stay still, it grows. Someone mentions a book and it adds up on your list. You watch a video about photography and something lights up in you. You read about a person who learned to code in their 30s and you think, I could do that. And then a week later, someone talks about their pottery class and you think, I could do that too. One after one, your interests keep on increasing as you come across things. And the fact is that none of these interests feel fake. They all feel real. They all feel like you are sufficiently capable of doing all of that. So you don't drop them, you keep on adding. And the result is that you end up spread so thin across so many things that none of them actually move forward. You're interested in everything but advancing in nothing. And somewhere underneath that, there's a quiet feeling, like you're failing at being yourself. You feel that you're not moving forward, which is probably true. If you're watching this, you're probably one of them. The first thing to understand is that having many interests isn't a flaw in your personality. It's actually a signal of something very specific going on in your brain. There's a name for people like this. They're sometimes called multipotentialites, or scanners, or renaissance souls. The name doesn't matter much. What matters is that these people don't have a single burning passion. They have a wide, restless curiosity that moves from thing to thing, not because they're unfocused, but because they're genuinely hungry for novelty and excellence. They need new ideas and changes every now and then, the way other people need routine. Let's understand this at a biological level. You'd have probably heard this before, that when you encounter something new, a new skill, a new subject, a new idea, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical your brain produces when it expects a reward. It's the feeling of excitement before something good happens. And for people with wide-ranging curiosity, that dopamine hit comes very reliably at the beginning of something new. The early stage of learning anything, when you go from knowing nothing to knowing a little, is one of the steepest and fastest growth curves you'll ever experience, and your brain loves that. It rewards you for it. But then, something happens as you move forward. The learning slows down. Progress becomes harder to see. The novelty wears off, and your brain, which was just flooded with dopamine a few weeks ago, starts looking for the next thing that will give it that same rush. And there's always the next thing, so you move on, not because you failed, because your brain followed the reward. This connects directly to what we talked about in the last video, the preparation trap. That feeling of getting ready without beginning is often fueled by the same mechanism. Beginning something is exciting. The idea of learning something is exciting. But the middle, the part where you have to do the actual hard work without any of the early rush, that part doesn't give you the same feeling. So some people stay in the preparation phase forever, and people with too many interests often skip between beginnings forever, chasing that first feeling of excitement but never making it to depth. So what do you actually do with this? Because telling someone with many interests to just pick one is like telling someone who's hungry to stop being hungry. It doesn't help, and it misunderstands the problem. There's another way to think about it. Instead of trying to eliminate your interests, which you can't do, you can change your relationship with depth. Most people think that having many interests means you have to spread yourself thin, but that's only true if you're trying to pursue them all at once, all at the same level at the same time. The real problem isn't the number of interests, it's the belief that all of them need to be happening right now. There's a simple way to work with this instead of against it. Think of your interests the way you'd think of seasons. Not all things are meant to happen at once, but all things get their time. You pick one thing, just one, and you give it a season, a real chunk of time. 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months. You go deep enough to see what's actually there. And then, when that season is done, you're allowed to move. You're allowed to follow the next thing that's calling you. But you move deliberately, not in a panic, not because you got bored and couldn't sit still. This works because it doesn't ask you to be someone you're not. It doesn't ask you to have one passion for life. It just asks you to have one focus at a time, and that's something you can actually do. What actually happens when you give time to one thing at a time? That thing becomes a habit, and a habit is something that doesn't need enough mental effort to be done because it becomes your default action. Let me give you an example. Say you're drawn to learning the guitar, and you're also drawn to learning Spanish, and you've also been thinking about starting to write. If you try to do all three at once, you'll spend 45 minutes a day across three things, but make almost no visible progress in any of them. But if you say, for the next 8 weeks, it's guitar and only guitar, you go far enough in to actually hear yourself improving. You get past the awkward early phase where your fingers hurt and nothing sounds right. And when the 8 weeks are up, it becomes one of your habits. Then you can move to another. You're not abandoning guitar, you're just choosing what season comes next. Spanish, maybe, or writing. And you come back to the others when their season returns. The question to ask yourself right now is simple. Of everything on your list, what is the one thing that if you actually got good at it would change something real for you? Not the most interesting thing, not the newest thing, the one that matters most. Start there. Give it real time. Let the others wait. One thing you should do today is write down every interest you currently have, not to feel overwhelmed by the list, just to see it clearly. Then circle the one you'd regret most never pursuing seriously. That's your next season. That's where your attention goes, starting now, not after more thinking. You have to spend time with things. Here, time is your investment, because you are someone whose mind is genuinely alive to many things, and that is not a problem to fix. It just needs a structure that works with how you actually are, rather than against it. There's a simple framework PDF for you in the description that will really help you with the execution. And if you haven't watched the last video, the one about why you keep preparing but never begin, it's the one that started this conversation, and it adds a lot to what we covered today. Till then, stay positive. I'll see you in the next one.